like to ask that question before I speak, because I like to know who's in the audience and what your expectations are for your life. And when I ask that question, a lot of people raise their hands. Some people don't. Some people don't want anything much. Most people operate in the area of survival. How many of you know people who should be here? Raise your hands, please. See, they're fine just like they are. Now, but there's some people who that just surviving is not enough. I believe that there are three types of people in life. They're winners, they're losers, and they're winners who've not discovered how to win yet. And these individuals, it's something about them that drives them, that they will invest in themselves. They go to seminars and workshops and lectures, and they're seeking, there's something in them that says, I can do better than this. That there are people who would be glad to be where they are and would be happy, but they're not. How many of you know if you had your life to live over again, you can do more than what you've done thus far? Raise your hands. I was reading a story about George Bernard Shaw, who was a very brilliant man in his day, and I love to quote him. But one of the things that was asked George Bernard Shaw that really resonated with me at the end of his life, somebody asked him, if you had to be anybody in the world, anybody throughout history, if you had the power to be born again, who would you like to come back as? And without blinking, he said, I'd like to be born as the man I never was. I like to be the man I never was, that I never became. Seeking to connect with that person. There's another person here that you're looking at. There's somebody else back there. And every chair in this place, there are two people in this place in every chair. You're in the chair with somebody else. There's another person back there. You know they're back there. And that person is the person that you want to become connected with. And sometimes you do. Sometimes you've had some experiences where you said, I can't believe I'm doing this. How many of you have ever done that, please? That you surprise yourself. Well, every time I speak, I see this as such a sacred opportunity. And I'm so happy. Sometimes I think I'm dreaming, because when I look back on my life, and this Les Brown that you see was in bondage for so many years, didn't come out till late in my life. I had him under arrest. I was in bondage with fear. I wanted to do what I'm doing. And I thought about things I wanted to accomplish, and I held myself back because I was afraid to fail. I was afraid to make mistakes. I was afraid that I would embarrass myself. I was intimidated by people who had college degrees because I didn't have a college degree. I still don't have a college degree. And so I would think about the things I wanted to do, and then I would start thinking about the fact, Les, you can't do that. So that's what I told this guy in me. Les, you can't do that. You don't have a college education. Les, I hear what you're saying, but come on, be logical, be practical. You can't do that. I know you feel good going to see Zig Ziglar and Tony Robbins and the late Dr. Norman Vincent Peale and Robert Schuller. I know they motivate you and inspire you, but get real. You can't do that. You never worked for any major corporation. Come on, let's be practical, be logical. Oh yes, I know people told you you have a gift of gab and you have a nice personality and you're funny and you make people feel good and you make them laugh, but you become a speaker, speak for corporations, train and teach people and motivate people to do something you've never done. You're not rich, you're not successful, you don't have any books, you don't have the resources, you don't know the people, you don't have the contacts. You can't do that, Les Brown. See, my heart said I can do that. When I looked at my dream and saw someone doing what I love to do, I love to help people. How many love to help people? And my heart said, I can do that. And then I made a critical mistake. I asked, how? The mind became operative. The mind came up front and said, Les Brown, I heard what your heart said, but I want to ask you, how will you do that? And so I went from my heart to my mind, and I tried to figure it out. How would I do that? At that time, I wanted to earn $1,000 an hour. My mind said, do you make $1,000 a week? I said, no. Okay. Have you ever done this before? I said, no. Okay. Well, I'm not saying you can't do it, but let me ask you some other questions, all right? Have you any contacts with anybody that can teach you how to do this? No. Okay, well, maybe there's something else. Do you have the money? No. Do you have the credentials? No. Will anybody stand up for you and say, oh, he's done it for me and I know he's good? No. Well, let me ask you, do you really think you could do this? No. There's an African proverb that says, if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do you no harm. How many of you ever thought about something you wanted to do? You felt it in your heart. You couldn't explain it. You felt it in your heart. And you talked yourself out of it. Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. I talked myself out of it. No one did it to me but me. The forte of fruiters is not in our stars, but in ourselves, that we are underlings. My first major goal was I wanted to buy my mother a home. And I achieved that. I'm adopted. I feel like Abraham Lincoln, who said, all that I am and all that I ever hope to be, I owe to my mother. Saw a sign once that said, God took me out of my biological mother's womb and placed me in the heart of my adopted mother. My mama was a good woman. She adopted 7 children. Mama only had a 3rd grade education, but I admired her character. I admired her personality. She never met strangers. Mama met you right now. She would talk your head off. You know, she was a funny woman. She always had a sense of humor. Mama walked fast. We walked with Mama downtown. We had to hold her dress. Mama would walk fast. We trying to keep up with Mama. Years later, at the end of her life, she was 89 and suffering from breast cancer. We took her to a furniture warehouse, and she got out of the car with my sister, and she was holding my arm, and I said, Mama, I said, they have a wheelchair here. Can I get this wheelchair for you? And I went and got the wheelchair, and she looked at me. She said, no, boy, I would walk this place myself. I said, Mama, but it's so huge, Mama. I'll roll you in a wheelchair. She said, I'm fine. And I saw her straighten herself, and she walked it herself. I admired her strength. I said, oh, Mama, you know, this morning I got up, and every time something happens to me and I want to get down and I want to surrender to any of the challenges I encounter, and I got up this morning, and the sciatic nerve and this L5 and L4 of my lower disc protruding, and I was in pain, and my body said, you can't do this speech today. And somebody said, are you going to surrender to this pain, or are you Mamie's boy? Get up and straighten your back. You can do that speech. You can walk that flow yourself. When you start walking, you won't feel anything but her presence with you. Sometimes we have to stand up inside ourselves. Sometimes we have to fight ourselves. Sometimes you have a dream and goal that you want to achieve, and you say, oh, I can't do that. You got to tell yourself to shut up. I can do it. Don't tell me I can't do that. Sometimes you got to talk to yourself. I can do it. I'm Mamie's boy. Oh, I can do this. Oh, I will do it. I have got to do this. What you think about your dream? And I want you to increase your dream dramatically. And I said you have something special. I'm telling you what I know. You have greatness in you. You have the ability to do more than you can ever begin to imagine. I don't even know you, but I'm telling you what I know from my own experience. And greatness, ladies and gentlemen, greatness, it's a choice. It's not your destiny. Most people never discover their greatness. Most people, ladies and gentlemen, go to their graves living a life of mediocrity, living a life far below their potential. Oliver Wendell Holmes said most men and women go to their graves with their music still in them. A friend of mine, Dwight Pleasure, was eulogizing his brother in Chicago, and I attended the funeral. Dwight, powerful speaker, he gives a presentation called How to Start Over Again, how to make it from scratch. Oh, Dwight is powerful. Dwight had lost his life for years to drugs and crack cocaine, lost everything, and he came back again. He demonstrated comeback power going around the world, changing people's lives, and he was eulogizing his brother. He said, and the room was very quiet and very somber, and he said, my brother was in the room in California, and they told me he died by himself. And he said, and I submit to you that my brother didn't die by himself. That with my brother died a lot of dreams. With my brother died a lot of potential. My brother had a lot of good ideas. And my brother was one of those guys that said, one day I'm going to, and everybody started laughing. Because everybody knew his brother was talking about various things all the time. One day I'm going to do this, and one day I'm going to do that, and one day I'm going to do. He had a lot of good ideas that he never acted on. And when he died, when he took his last breath, all those ideas, and one day I'm going, all of that went down in the grave with him. Henry David Thoreau, come forward, what are your words? He said, oh God, to reach the point of death, only to realize that you've never lived, only to realize that you've never scraped the surface of your potential. Jim Rohn, come forth, what would you say? When the end comes for you, let it find you conquering a new mountain, not sliding down an old one. Oh, no. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people die full of their dreams, full of talent, full of ideas, full of skills, full of intelligence and abilities that they never reached for. They never tapped. They never got into. They never used it. Never used it. And so how do we do that? What is it that blocks us? Well, I mentioned one. Mine was fear. Here's another one. I didn't feel good enough. I was comparing myself to other people. I didn't feel, because I didn't have a college education, and based upon my failures and disappointments in the past and things that I'd attempted to do and they did not work out, I built a very practical, realistic, logical case on why I couldn't have my dream. And so I want whatever dream you have, I want you to expand it, I want you to increase it, and I want to warn you, don't ask yourself how you're going to do it. How is none of your business. Don't get trapped there. And don't worry about failing. You're going to fail. You're going to make some mistakes. You're going to look stupid. Why? It's called life. Write this down. Make it okay to fail. Goethe says, that which does not kill you will make you stronger. See, well, I found that, as the saying goes, most people fail in life not because they aim too high and miss. Most people fail in life because they aim too low and hit. And many don't aim at all. Many just survive. They come to work asking, what time is it? And they work just hard enough to keep from being fired. And they are getting paid just enough to keep them from quitting. In order to reach your goals and do some incredible things, ladies and gentlemen, I say that you have something special. You have got to have faith and ignorance. You've got to believe in yourself. You've got to believe in what you're doing. You've got to believe in your product. You've got to believe in your services. You've got to believe in a power greater than yourself. You've got to believe in the power of pursuit. And you've got to be ignorant enough to know that you don't know what you can't do. Don't rule anything out for you. Eye has not seen, ear has not heard, nor has entered the heart of humankind what God has in store for you. Repeat after me, please. Leap and grow your wings on the way down. Yes, so you're going to be a good salesperson. You've got to be a risk taker. Here's something else I tell you what. You want one of the keys? What will separate great sales professionals from people that are mediocre? I tell you what. I learned this as a kid. I used to sell newspapers. Sam Axelrod, who was one of my early mentors, he used to every day would pick me up. And I was the youngest one in the group, all older individuals and mostly grown men. And every day Sam would get in and he would have a quote for everybody in the car. Sam driving the station wagon, he said, gentlemen, yes. He said, this is a usable world. And if you don't use it in the right way, it's a cruel world. And I would say, thank you, Mr. Axelrod. Nobody else paid attention to that. I don't know why, but I was the one. It just made sense to me. And I kept these things. I remember, Wesley, yes, sir, because he remembered that I was the only one that responded. I was the only one that took notes when he spoke. He said, always strive to get on top in life, young man, because it's the bottom that's overcrowded. Yes, sir. Thank you, Miss Axelrod. But he was baffled by me because he couldn't understand how that adults who were 10, 15 years older than I was, had more experience, how was it that I was selling circles around them? I didn't have the experience. They were more mature. How did this little young kid come there and outsell them? 2 to 1 in many cases. He couldn't understand when at the evening of the close of the day, he would look around and do a head count and say, wait a minute, somebody's missing. And everybody said, you know who it is, that Wesley guy. Wesley! Yes, sir. Hey, come on, nobody sold anything. It's dead territory. Oh, I can't come now, Sam. Why? I haven't sold anything. Leslie, no one sold anything. You guys sold anything? No, sir. Some of the territories are dead, Leslie. Sam? Yes, sir. I can't come. Why? I haven't sold anything. Wesley, no one sold anything. That's them, Sam. I'll get home all right. I'll be all right. Wesley, in order for you to get from here back to Overtown from Liberty City, you've got to pass the 20th Street shops, the 14th Street gang. Wesley, that's dangerous, young man. Sam, I'll be all right. It's late. It's late. It's after 8 o'clock. I'll be all right. And the guys would say, come on, Sam. He's a fool. Leave him. Leave him. He won't stop. And see, these guys, it was just extra chump change, I guess. I don't know. Maybe to have a new suit, pay a little small bill here and there. For me, it was different. My mother adopted 7 children. Because of arthritic condition, she lost her job. So my reasons were different. Write this down. 5 reasons, whatever goes on, dreams are, why you won't fail. 5 reasons. 5 reasons why you won't fail. Nietzsche said, if you know the why for living, you can endure almost anyhow. 5 reasons. I couldn't afford not to make a sale. I was out there to get groceries for our family. I had to make money. I had to make enough money for Dr. Johnson when he had a prescription for Mama. I had to make money for the bills, for the light bills. I had to work. Mama was doing the best she could, but Mama, our hero, Mama was sick. We have no relative. She was an only child. She adopted 7 children at age 46, I saw my mother on the floor, scrubbing floors on her knees. We ate the leftover food from the families that she cooked for. They were very nice people. Said, Mamie, whatever food is left over, you can take it home to those children that you have adopted. And I said, Mama, when I get strong enough, I'm going to buy food for our families. We wore the hand-me-down clothes of the children that she kept. They would say, Mamie, whatever clothes here that you could use, these children of mine don't need these. Take them home and let those kids wear those clothes that you have adopted. If they were too large, Mama would sew and take them up. If they were too small, she would let them out. And now Mama was sick, and I said, Mama, what, boy? I'm going to take care of you. How? Don't worry, Mama. And I sold newspapers, and I sold television sets, and I used to collect copper and aluminum from garbage cans and junk piles, and I would bend them together and put them in a bag and a box being booed. We'd take them to Pepper's Junkyard over in Overtown, 11th Terrace and 4th Avenue. And they put them on a scale and give us $5. I would stand on the corner. Hey, we need some boys to come move some stuff. Hey, you're too small. Oh, I'm small, but I'm strong. You see my muscle, man? I'm strong. Okay, boy, you got a lot of mouth. You better be able to be strong. You know? And I'll be grunting stuff and carrying stuff, you know. I was determined I wasn't going to steal. That was not an option. Mama worked too hard. I promised my mama, I'll never get in trouble. I'm going to do the right thing, Mama. I'm so proud of you, and I'm so glad that you decided to adopt us. I love you so much. I'm going to take care of you, Mama. I'm going to work hard just like you. Just like, isn't it interesting how kids can be in the same family, raised by the same parents, same circumstances, end up dramatically different? What is that? Remember I said that you have something special? I believe that people go to seminars and workshops, they have that's something. I don't know what it is. It's just something about us that we're different. We don't know why we just got to have more. We don't know why we have this restlessness and say to ourselves, this just can't be it. There's got to be something better. We don't know. We just got to do this. We just got to keep on stretching, got to keep on learning. We don't care about failing. I read something that was in my first book by Dr. Benjamin Mays. He was a great man, great motivator, one of the mentors of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Dr. Benjamin Isaiah Mays says, it must be borne in mind that the tragedy of life does not lie in not reaching your goals. The tragedy lies in not having any goals to reach. It isn't a calamity to die with dreams unfulfilled, but it is a calamity not to dream. It's not a disaster to be unable to capture your ideas, but it is a disaster to have no ideas to capture. It's not a disgrace not to reach for the stars, but it is a disgrace to have no stars to reach. I say you got goals and dreams, things that you're reaching for, things that will make you stretch, things that will challenge you. I say don't lose that passion and that drive for life. It will keep you alive. I'm telling you what I know. Doctors looked at me 8 years ago and said, you have cancer. 8 years ago, they gave me 2.5 years. I was still here. I told my group of speakers that I trained, I said, I'm going to beat this, and this is a year. All of them said, okay, Les, we believe you, man. We're believing in you. And then they start calling the person who manages my speaking program and say, will we get a refund when he dies? Because they were believing the numbers. Because the PSA 1 to 4 is normal. 119, that's serious. I went to the MD Anderson, which is #1 in the world. Sloan Kettering, Johns Hopkins, Howard University. Went to all type of doctors and urologists and oncologists. And they said, Mr. Brown, I'm sorry, young man, but we've done all we can do. And let me share something with you. Write this down. Work on yourself. See, the people that are going to reach their goals and dreams, not only do they have compelling reasons that drive them, because the thing that drove me, that kept me ahead of everybody else, I had some compelling reasons of why I was selling television sets, no money down. I had some compelling reasons that I'd go to a door at 10 o'clock at night and knock on the door. Hello? Yes? Who is that? Hi, would you like to buy a nice working television set, no money down? Boy, do you know what time it is? Yes, I do. It's 10 o'clock at night, and I take care of my mama, and I'm going to sell a television set tonight to somebody, and it might as well be you. And finally somebody said, fool, come on in here. It better be a good one. You got to have some reasons. Reasons will drive you. Reasons will give you comeback power. One of my good friends, Willie Jolly, has a saying, one of his books, that if you get knocked, no, he says, a setback is a setup for a comeback. A setback is a setup for a comeback. When they said, you have cancer, one of the things that was different for me than everybody else, and I just finished doing a presentation called You Are More Powerful Than Cancer, was because of the fact that I listened to so many positive things. I went to so many lectures. I talked to so many people that were cancer conquerors. I asked them, what did you do? And when people said to me, oh, my uncle died of prostate cancer, my father died from prostate cancer, my mind said, well, that has nothing to do with me. I don't want to hear nothing about that. I'm not being insensitive, but don't tell me that. That's not my destiny. I got too much work to do. I got things that I'm supposed to accomplish. And so I had a mindset that, hey, I can beat this. I can get past this. Oh, no, I'm not going out like this. So you got to stand up in yourself. You got to fight. You will have opposition. Things going to happen to you in life. It's called life, and it's not personal. Stuff's going to happen. And if you make it to the 40-yard line, if you can make it to age 40, between 40 and 60, it begins to intensify. All kind of things happen. Between 40 and 60, my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer and finally died. Between 40 and 60, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. Between 40 and 60, I went through a divorce from someone that I loved very much. Between 40 and 60, my best friend died waiting on a liver transplant. Between 40 and 60, had a nationally syndicated talk show, highest rated, fastest canceled talk show in the history of television. Between 40 and 60, oh, life put a whooping on me. My God, how many of y'all had yours already? Tell how many you know what I'm talking about? It ain't personal. Don't say, why did this have to happen to me? Why not you? Who would you suggest? It's called life.